I'm gonna do my labor and delivery story, kind of just how everything went. I did post my labor and delivery vlog. If you haven't seen it, it's up on my channel, the video before this one. But I wanted to do like a sit down and talk about kind of the things, because I didn't really get to go in detail in my vlog because it was like a vlog video of like everything that happened. And I did get a lot of questions about certain things, so I will answer those questions. But yeah, all right, so this is for me, baby number 2, and Chizara was born November 19. So I was induced, and I mentioned that in my vlog video that I was induced at 39 weeks and 3 days. I was induced because I am considered advanced maternal age or geriatric pregnant person. So they advise not to go all the way to 40 weeks because of, you know, certain things that could happen, but there wasn't anything indicating or showing that I would have had complications, or I'm having a hard pregnancy or something like that. But they just wanted to be on the side of caution, to make sure that everything is okay. So I agreed to it. I didn't have to, but I said, okay, might as well just go, because it was getting close to like Thanksgiving, and I just wanted to be as safe as I could. And I didn't really have any, I don't know, I didn't really have any objections, but I could have said no, and I think I would have been fine. And literally I could have said no and could have been fine, because the day I had her was like, what was it, like 3 days before my due date anyways, so it didn't really make that much of a difference, but I just went with it. So yeah, so I'm 36 years old, so 35 and over is advanced maternal age. So yeah, so leading up to, like, I was hoping that I would go into labor before my induction date, but I didn't. But leading up to my induction date, Chizara, she was head down, but she wasn't engaged. And after everything, I realized that she wasn't engaged, like her head wasn't engaged, because she wasn't facing the correct way. So she was supposed to be, like, baby's supposed to face your back for delivery, but she was actually facing my left side. So her face was like, this is her face was facing this way, but her face is supposed to face this, like this way towards my back. So she wasn't, so that's why her head wasn't so engaged, and like that's why, like, I wasn't so much dilated, like leading up to, like the weeks leading up to my induction date or my due date. So yeah, but they said that there wasn't any concern about it. They just said that probably when labor starts, she'll turn correctly, and she did eventually. All right, so as I said, I wasn't engaged. She wasn't engaged, and I wasn't dilated at all. This was like a week before my due date. That week, like the week or two leading up to my due date. So I wanted to make sure that I at least was a little bit dilated before I started my induction, so that things wouldn't have to start from zero for me. So I found, so on spinning babies, I did a couple of the exercises on spinning babies, and then I found this workout on YouTube to help engage your baby and bring your baby down. So I did those exercises maybe like for a week. So I didn't do it every day for a week, but I'd probably do it like maybe like like that week leading up. I probably did my exercises maybe like 3 or 4 nights, and then I did that. So I guess I didn't do it every day. So I did the exercises for like 3 or 4 nights, and then I did the spinning babies for like a day or two, and then I did like another workout to help. So I think all of that together helped. And then with Cam, if you remember, if you've seen my other videos, I drank the midwife's brew and did the evening primrose oil capsules vaginally. And yeah, so I did that. So the day that they wanted me to be induced, my first induction date, they actually canceled it and pushed it because the hospital was too full that day. So they actually moved it for a couple days later, which was kind of like, because I was like getting ready to have her go to the hospital that day, and then they were like, hospital's too full, we're gonna move it till like the Monday. So I was like, okay. I was like sad. I tried not to cry about it because I was like ready for her to be out, but I was like, I need to like stay calm and not be anxious. So I drank the midwife's brew, and I did the evening primrose oil capsules, and I did this with Cam, and I went into labor that night after I did it. So it worked for me the first time. So this time I did it again. It started working, and it was working because I started having contractions that night after I took it. But I think because her head wasn't engaged, it wasn't enough for me to go into full-blown labor, because you know, along with like the outside factors, like the inside factors, like her head needs to be engaged, you know, for my body to know, okay, she's ready to come out. And it wasn't. So I think like that attempt of the midwife's brew and the primrose oil, it wasn't strong enough, you know, to elicit a strong and start the whole labor process, because her head wasn't engaged enough. But I thought about doing it again in a couple days, but I said, let me not do it, because if her head is not engaged properly, and maybe like she's not in the right position, like whatever it could be, thinking like hindsight, I don't want to stress her out, you know, trying to, you know, get her out, and like she's not physically like ready to come out. So I decided not to do the midwife brew again. But a lot of people, like, they do the midwife brew, they drink it a couple times, a couple rounds of it to get it going and stuff like that. So as I said, I did it with Cam, and it worked like within hours. With her, I started having contractions within hours, but then it died down, and I think it's because she wasn't in the proper position. So yeah, so my mom came probably like 5 days or so before, like, so my first induction date that was changed, she came the day before, and my mother-in-law came the day before as well from Nigeria. So mommy was here, my mother-in-law was here, but then they changed the date. So but at least everybody was here before everything happened. So mommy came, and then my mother-in-law came, so everybody was ready to go. I was ready to go. We did a lot of, like when my mom came, my mother-in-law came, we did a lot of shopping. So even though physically I was tired, I was just like, I don't want to go out. I actually did go out a couple times with them, so that it helped me like walk around and get things moving around. So it was very painful to like walk around with them, but I did it. I remember the last place we went to before the day my induction date was, we went shopping this plaza, and it was like Ross, and they had Home Goods, they had Burlington, they had Nordstrom Rack, TJ Maxx. So we shopped, and then like it was like in a big parking lot. So the moms made me walk from one end of the parking lot to the next store while they drove, to help me like walk, and I did, and it wasn't bad, but I was like physically like it felt like she was about to fall out, and like my back was hurting, I was tired, but I'm glad I did it because it helped with, you know, getting everything coming along. All right, I'm just looking at my notes so I don't forget anything. So then the next day was my induction date, and they said to report to the hospital at 7 p.m. Sorry, I'm getting over, I think I had strep throat last week. Like I was sick, Chris was sick, Cam was sick, like everybody was sick. But I think I had strep throat, so I like it's like the tail end of it. So induction date was scheduled for 7 p.m. So they said just to come in at 7. Like they're not going to call me again that day and say, okay, time to come. So at 7 p.m. report to the hospital. So I packed my bag. I already had my bag packed. We got to the hospital, and crossing my fingers that I was at least a little bit centimeters dilated. Like all that worked. I hope it worked. So yeah, so then when we got to the hospital, we went straight to the delivery room. I thought we'd go to triage first and then delivery room, but we went straight to the delivery room. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's like hit me there, like, oh my gosh, it's happening. So yeah, so we got to the delivery room, and then we got changed, settled. They asked me if I wanted a snack or anything like that, and then the nurse was gonna come and see how dilated I was to figure out, okay, what's the plan for induction. It was like if I wasn't dilated at all, they would do one thing first to help with dilation, I think, and then start the Pitocin. Or if I was dilated, they just start the Pitocin. So crossing my fingers that I was least dilated so I can like move up, like I don't have to do the first thing first and then Pitocin. So when the nurse came, she measured me, I was 3 centimeters. I was like, thank you, Jesus. So we didn't have to do the first part, so we just start Pitocin right away. And I remember the nurse asked me like, oh, how did you get, you know, dilated so fast? Because they knew like the day before, the couple of days before, I wasn't dilated at all. And I told them and they were like, we'll take note of that. So yeah, so Pitocin right away. So by the time I got to the hospital at 7, by 8 p.m., Pitocin was started. And I practice hypnobirthing, so I don't take any pain medications like epidural for my labor, so that I can feel everything, move around, and like as soon as baby's out, like I'm ready to pop up and like, you know, be on the scene. But the main thing of me not having epidural is because I had scoliosis when I was little and I had surgery for it. So I have metal rods in my spine that straighten my spine. So I do have kind of a chronic back pain throughout my life. So I didn't want anything else going into my back or my spine to create more, you know, pain or anything like that. So that's the reason why I chose to do hypnobirthing with my first child, Cam, and with this one. So the one thing is like with Pitocin, you know, it brings on the contractions to be more intense. So I had Pitocin for a very short time, like maybe the tail end of my labor with Cam. So I kind of had an experience with it, but this is gonna be my first time with it, Pitocin at the beginning. So it kind of, with the hypnobirthing, you have to mentally prepare yourself, you know, for the labor process, knowing the labor process so you know what stage you're at, and then having a calm, you know, and be in meditation during labor, to have a calm, like a nice, calm, and like easy birth. So that's the whole essence of the hypnobirthing, is to just have an easy, calm, meaningful, meditational birth, so that you don't feel the pain. You know, you can make it through without, you know, being anxious and having a panic attack and all that stuff like that. So I enjoyed the experience with Cam thoroughly, and I knew I was going to do it with Chizara. So as soon as I started the Pitocin, I was just meditating, keeping calm. I have tools along the way that I implement during the whole labor process with the hypnobirthing. So I use it towards the end when things get more intense. So in the beginning, Pitocin, they kept running it every couple hours. I would come and see like how I was doing, and I have a pretty high pain tolerance, so I think they were noticing like, she's still talking and she's still, you know, too jolly. So they kept turning up my Pitocin like really high, and it got pretty high, and it wasn't painful at all. But as I said, the hypnobirthing and all my techniques were working for me, so it definitely wasn't painful at all. So towards the next morning, they continued to like increase the Pitocin, because they wanted my contractions to be even stronger and even stronger. And like I was still talking, you know, throughout a lot of the things. So they knew that, like, you know, I think they thought that it wasn't enough, but like for me, they didn't know that I was hypnobirthing, and they didn't know that I have a high pain tolerance. So they kept cranking up the Pitocin. They cranked it up really high, but I was still good, still able to you know, push through each contraction and stuff. It wasn't bad at all. So the one thing I love about the practice I go to is that the practice is comprised of OBGYNs, midwives, and like certified nurse midwife. I think that's what the title is, but it's a whole conglomerate of those types of, you know, people for your birth. So it helps with me that's hypnobirthing. The midwives and the nurse midwives, they're very accommodating and at my pace with everything, and they were at my pace and did everything that I wanted from the beginning, which I truly appreciate, because it makes the whole experience so smooth, so easy, so chill. Like the whole thing was like so chill. So I came in, and she was like, so like, you know, they have to ask me like, so what do you want to do now? Do you want to break your water now? Do you want to wait till later? You know, do you want a snack? Do you want some ice chips? How are you feeling? You know, like if they were just so like, they asked me like what did I want to do next, which was great, which I loved because it made me feel calm. It made the whole experience perfect. So I told them I wanted to wait until maybe I was like 5-6 centimeters dilated before they broke my water. Because I know that if they break my water, things will start moving faster, and I need to call my mom to come to the hospital because it was only Chris and I at the hospital. And I said, like, we'll call you guys when things start getting, you know, more advanced and more forward. So they broke my water at like 5-6 centimeters, and it was like less pressure, good release of like intensity, which was good. So they broke my water, and then as soon as they broke my water, then I called my mom and said, okay, they broke my water, things are progressing, so start heading to the hospital. So my mom got to the hospital within the hour, and then by the time my mom got to the hospital, I was 7 centimeters, and by 7 centimeters things started getting more like intense, where it's like when I have a contraction, like I can't talk anymore, and I need to like focus. So that's when I put in my headphones. And in my headphones, I have a hypnobirthing playlist. There's a lot of like meditation, earth sounds, frequency sounds, rainbow meditation. So in my headphones, I had that in, and so I started playing it. So it helps me keep calm, keep focused when things start getting more intense. So I put that on around 7 centimeters. So from 7 centimeters to 10 centimeters was 2 hours. I remember when I had Cam, it was like many more hours. So definitely being my second pregnancy, things moved along faster. So 7 centimeters to 10 centimeters was about 2 hours. And then by 10 centimeters, I was ready to push. So I remember like there was me and another mom that was right at the same point, and there was only one nurse midwife that was going to deliver both of us. So she was like going back and forth to figure, okay, who's like going to be ready to like start pushing first. So there was a time when I was still, you know, laboring, and I had one contraction, and I felt that urge to like push, like, and I was on my side, and I was holding on to the bed so I can like stay up, and then like I had a contraction and I felt the urge to push. So I started pushing because like your body like just makes you just push automatically. So I started pushing. So I was just like telling the nurse like, yeah, I feel like pushing now. So she was like, okay. So they all got ready and situated for me. So I had my baby first before that lady. So so from the vlog, you can see how everybody was situated, waiting for me, very patient and stuff like that, going at my pace. But I probably pushed for like maybe like 20-25 minutes, and then she came out. But the thing is, like, I remember like in the video, I was so exhausted at that point. So when it was time to push, I was so tired that I didn't even have the energy to push. So I was kind of like, okay, where am I gonna muster up this energy to start pushing, and for pushing for who knows how long. So I remember that my first time I pushed with like everyone ready to go, and you can hear me doing in the video, I just like started like grunting and making noise like as I was pushing to help me with like that energy to like push, because I had no energy, and it helped. So I was able to like, you know, push. So yeah, so I was pushing, and then I'll be so tired, and then I'll push again, and they were like, okay. Luckily the nurse was telling me like my progression, and she was saying that you probably only have to push a couple times and then she'll be out. And I said, thank God. So tell myself, okay, gotta keep pushing, keep the energy up, gotta push. So the second to last push, they were like, okay, next push, she's coming out. So I said, okay. I was just like, oh my God, I want her out because I'm so tired. So the last push, I pushed, and I said, this is it. I'm not doing this again. If he keep pushing. I gotta tell myself mentally, like, don't stop, keep pushing. So finally, and like in that, I remember in that moment when I was still pushing, I was like, she has to come out now because I'm done. I told myself, like, I am done. Like, this is the last bit of energy I had. I am done. And then also part of me was just like, well, will I ever feel life again after this moment? Because it felt like it was forever. So yeah, so as soon as she came out, it's like a part of me couldn't believe it's over. like it's literally over, like you're lying. And then she was out, and I was just like, thank the Lord Jesus, because I was so tired. And as soon as she came out, they gave me to her. No, they gave her to me. And I was carrying her, and I was just like, oh yeah. And then, you know, we didn't know the gender either, so a lot of anticipation. I'm like, when the baby comes out, who's gonna say if it's a boy or a girl? So Chris was saying, like, no one say what it is, and they want me to see it first. They want me to see and like say it first. So as soon as she came out, they showed me to her, and I was like, oh my. So in my mind I was like, oh, it's a girl, she's finally out, let me carry her, she's so small. So for me, she felt so small compared to Cam, because when Cam was born, he was 10 pounds. When she was born, I was just like, no, she's so small. So I was thinking to myself, they probably most likely had a normal sized baby. I kept saying that in my vlog. So she came out, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so small. And it's a girl. And like and then like now all the things that I thought about during my pregnancy was like it lined up with her being a girl. And I will do a separate video comparing girl versus boy pregnancy and all the things that I felt different, because it was a completely different pregnancy for me. So I will go into detail about that in the next video. So she came out, I held her, she felt small, happy was over, it was a girl, my mom was so excited, Chris was excited, and we already had a girl name picked out and everything like that. And I think it was meant to be a girl, because like technically the boy name that we had to pick out, we never finished it because we couldn't finalize or choose a Igbo boy name. We just couldn't get it. And I think we just let it go and just say like whatever is meant to happen is supposed to happen. So she came out, and it was a girl. Like we already had the girl name way before, because we knew exactly what girl name that we wanted. So as soon as she came out, I was like, oh, it's Chizara, Ariana. And then I told mommy, like, mommy, her name is Chizara Ariana. And my mom loved the name, and I love her name. And I can tell that a lot of people love her name, because it's just like, it just fits her so well, and the name is so nice. Like, yeah, her name is so beautiful. I love her name. And a lot of people ask me about her name and like what it means and like all that stuff. So I'll talk about it. So her first name is Chizara, which means God answered, and their nickname is Zara. And then her middle name is Ariana, and it's Greek for most holy. And I love Greek names. Cam's middle name is Greek, which is Christoph, and her middle name is Ariana, which is Greek as well. So yeah, so I wanted to keep with the theme of the Greek names, and it just happened to work out. And with both the names, Chris and I, like we have a whole list of names that we've had for years. So we just went back to the list and said, okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And Ariana came much later. Ariana was never even on my list ever, but I love the name Aria. And I told Chris, like, I love the name Aria. Like, what do you think about it? And he was like, he likes it, but like, can you finish the name? And I was like, what do you mean, like Ariana? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, you like that? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I like it too. And that's how we got to the Ariana part. So yeah, so I love her name. Her name is so beautiful. It's so cute. All right, so when they measured her, she came out 7 pounds, 15 ounces. Woohoo! I had a normal sized baby. I was so excited because, you know, like, after having Cam at 10 pounds, I was like, okay, what if my next baby's bigger? You know, like I was kind of afraid. But luckily she was 7 pounds, 15 ounces. Like, thank you, Jesus. Like, you don't know how relieved I was. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But, you know, she could have been smaller because she's a girl. Because you never know, if my next baby's a boy, he could be like, after the 10 pounds, he could be 11 pounds or 12 pounds. You know, I don't know. But the fact that she's a girl and she was 7 pounds, I was like, thank you, we made it through. Let's just focus on what we have right now. So after Ariana, Chizara was out. After she was out, I was telling you guys I was extremely exhausted. So after she was out, I didn't feel good at all. Like, I didn't feel good at all. Like, I could barely talk because the energy to talk was too much for me. I could barely sit up. I could barely like move my head. You know, it was like I was about to pass out. So tired. So I told the nurse, like, I don't feel good. And like, I didn't feel like that with Cam. With Cam, after I had him, I was up, energy, I was ready to eat, ready to take a shower, like good to go. This time, I was done. And it could have been because I was on Pitocin for over 12 hours. I was, laboring on Pitocin for so long, and then I didn't really like get a good night's sleep at the hospital and stuff like that. So that could have been a factor of why I was so exhausted. But I told the nurse, like, I don't feel good. I don't feel normal. Like, this is not right. So she was like, do you want Zofran? And I said, okay. So she gave me Zofran. That definitely helped. And then she was like, okay, what pain medications do you want? And well, no, she next that. She was like, okay, do you want pain medication? I said, okay, sure, I'll take ibuprofen. They can only give ibuprofen anyways. But then I was like, yeah, but is there something that I can get that's stronger? Because I feel like, I just feel like I had so much like pelvic bone pain. Like my bones were hurting. My pelvic bones were hurting. So she was like, okay, so they gave me a muscle relaxer. I forget which one it was. So I think it was meloxicam. I think that's what it was. Yeah, they gave me that muscle relaxer, and after I took that, I felt so much better. So the Zofran and the meloxicam felt so much better. And then we were transferred to like recovery, where we'll be at until we leave. But I was able to like get a little nap in, and then I woke up. I felt so much better. Had more energy. I felt myself again. And then I was able to like look at her more, because when she came out, when you're kind of laying down, so you can't really see that well, and like holding her up, and I was so tired. But it was after we transferred to our recovery room, I had a medications, took a nap, that I was able to like look at her and be like, oh, this is what she looks like, but that definitely made me feel so much better. So yeah, so that was that. And then she checked out really well. I was a little nervous about breastfeeding because with Cam, I had a terrible time with breastfeeding because he never latched. So it was a not good experience. Had PTSD from it. So with this one, I told myself I'm not even gonna stress about it. I'm not gonna prepare too much for it, with like buying things and stuff, because I just want to just be calm about it, be more natural about it. And not stress about like, oh, I need to buy pump stuff and do this and do that and da, 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 da. Like, I said no. So when she comes out and I feed her for the first time, that's what it's going to be, and then we'll go from there. So the first time I fed her, she latched. Woohoo! She latched. I was so happy. And then she was getting the colostrum, and then the little colostrum that they get, and then it was working. So a part of me was just like, am I even producing anything? Is it working? So I was kind of nervous for like her weigh-in, because she has to be weighed in to make sure that she's getting something before she's discharged from the hospital. So I was just like so nervous. They're gonna like take the baby and weigh her and say, oh, she's losing too much weight. You're not feeding her enough. The milk isn't coming in, or whatever. You have to give her formula. Here's the bottle. Like, I was so nervous for that. So they said that I could go home. So the next morning, they said I could go home the next morning. But her 24 hours checkup, she has to meet weight. So they took her and they brought her back, and they were like, oh, she's good to go. Da, da, da. And I was like, her weight is okay? And they're like, yeah. And I was just like, that means I'm producing something. I was still in shock that me can produce something. Oh, So I was like happy and like, wow, it's working. Okay, let me keep calm, take it day by day with the breastfeeding, see how it's doing, but it was working. So 24 hours after she was born, we were able to leave the hospital to go home. Everything checked out. She was perfect. It was good. Definitely a different experience with Cam. But I was grateful for like uneventful, things with like discharge. So discharge, we went home, and that was it. It was a beautiful, easy, stress-free, calm, and mindful birth. It couldn't have gone any better. I was so happy and grateful for the nurses and the midwives that helped me give birth to Chizara. They were calm, they were patient, and a lot of people mentioned that in my vlog, how, wow, the nurses are so patient, they're so kind. I wish, the labor and delivery team could be like that for everybody. But yeah, I'm so grateful that They were patient, they were kind. Like, my nurses were amazing. They went at my pace. They kept asking me, okay, what do you want to do next? Like, I was so appreciative of that team. And that's also what made my whole labor and delivery go even smoother. So I'm so happy for that. So happy I was able to have that experience. I'm happy and grateful for the practice that I go to. And yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, amazing delivery, amazing birth, amazing everything. So I'm so happy. So now I have 2 births, 2 hypnobirths that went perfectly well. I couldn't ask for them to go even more perfect. So yeah, so if you're more interested in hypnobirthing, I do have a video kind of going on like the basics and 101 of hypnobirthing. Is like some of the materials that I used. I do have like a hypnobirthing book that I read for both pregnancies. So I'll list that down below, and some other like resources if you're interested in hypnobirthing. I think hypnobirthing is the way to go, and you can do hypnobirthing if you're having a C-section. You can do hypnobirthing if you're being induced. You can do hypnobirthing if you're not being induced. You can have a hypnobirth if you do an epidural. So it's not just people that don't want to take any medications for their birth, because you never know what can happen during your whole labor and delivery. So that's part of hypnobirthing, is to keep calm and be mindful and be very educated on the steps of labor, so that you know what's happening with your body, so you don't feel so anxious or like surprised by things. But yeah, I will put like a little thing of like, you know, blurb about what hypnobirthing is, kind of the basics. But yeah, but it's something that I'm so passionate about. And I hope that if you haven't had a birth, but you want to make sure you have a nice mindful birth, calm birth, or maybe you had a traumatic birth before and you want your next birth to be more calm, not stressful, I definitely would advise to look into hypnobirthing. So yeah, anyways, hopefully I answered all the questions. I hope I did a nice, you know, talk through of my labor and delivery. I wanted to talk about my sweater, my mommy sweater, and it has Cam and Chizara's name on it. I got this on Etsy. I made one for Inky and I made one for Mommy. So Inky says Mama and it has all her kids on there. And I made one for Mommy and hers says Glamma and has all 6 of her grandkids on the sleeve. So I'll link the Etsy store where I bought it from down below. But it is so nice, embroidered, and this is like glitter detail and stuff in here too. So cute. I love it. Anyways, please forgive me for coming to the camera live and crusty. My hair is definitely not done, it needs to be washed. I have nothing on my face, but I wanted to tell myself that, you know, to just be more chill and more calm with like whipping up my camera and like making videos, because I feel like sometimes I overthink things and like want to like do my hair and then put on makeup and like get dressed and like before I film a video, then it makes me not film it because it's like too much work. And now I have 2 kids, a newborn. It's like I don't have time for prep at all. So this is what you're getting. So hopefully it's okay for you guys. But yeah, this is literally how I rolled out of bed, and I said I'm recording a video with or without taking a shower today. So yeah, so thank you guys so much for the love on my last 2 videos. If you haven't seen those, check those out. I do a video talking about my pregnancy and how I was having a twin pregnancy and how I lost one of the twins right before my 2nd trimester. And then my labor and delivery vlog. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. But I got a lot of great views on there, a lot of great comments. So thank you guys for all the love and stuff like that. But I hope you guys love this video. And make sure you comment below and let me know what other videos you want me to do. Anyways, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. In my hands, let me talk about you and I. You claiming